KKVU HD4 Stevensville and 102.9 FM on K's only statewide sports talk show. Broadcast on 102.9 ESPN radio for Western Montana and across the state on SWX television.
I like football!
Now, sports talk from Montana for Montana. Live from the Kurtz Polaris studio, here is Ryan Tootell and Coulter Nuanez.
Hello, Montana. Our favorite NBA players by division, day 3. Kevin Thompson going to Washington, and Robert Chase switching stations for a day. It is Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Great to be with all of you across the state. Thanks so much for being here with us on this Wednesday afternoon. Hope you are having a fantastic day. Coulter and I certainly are. We appreciate you letting us be with you. If you would like to call, feel free, 361-3688, 361-3688, the phone number. All guests join us via the Rankish Brothers RV phone line. You keep that number locked in because you're going to call us and win some wings to the Desperado today, boys and girls, 361-3688. If you would like to listen live, you can do so on the World Wide Web, 1029ESPN.com. That is where you go for the stream. The stream available all the time thanks to Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. Let's take a look at what we have in the show today. First of all, this is day 3 of our NBA favorite players by franchise, by division. You see what we're doing there? About 5 teams a day. Coulter and I have been going through in the National Basketball Association today. My favorite division, the Central.
Really?
The
Central
That's your
division.
Favorite? Oh, yeah. You kidding me? Chicago, Milwaukee, Indiana, Detroit, and Cleveland. Love the Central. So we're going to get through that here in a little bit. What's your favorite division?
Man, what an interesting question.
The thing is, we don't care about divisions in basketball.
Well,
right?
first of all, the divisions in the NBA are irrelevant because
that's what I'm saying.
You
It doesn't matter.
You don't really get anything from. I mean, you get a.
They do play them a little more often.
If you win a division, though, do you get a higher seed? No, because it's just overall record, so it doesn't matter.
No, it's head to head. There's no. I don't believe there is any import whatsoever in terms of how you finish your
except
division.
for that schedule, you're guaranteed to play the other teams in your division 4 times.
Yeah, you play them.
But you're still going to
more.
play everybody in your conference 4 times too.
No, I don't know about that.
I think you play everybody in your conference 4 times and everybody from the other conference twice.
Well, in any case, we will.
What is my favorite division? It's so hard because I don't have a favorite team. I never really have.
Well, then it doesn't matter. 30 minutes from now, we will talk Kevin Thompson. Kevin Thompson, a 7th-year senior. He is the reigning Big Sky Conference Player of the Year on offense. He will not be around to defend that title because he has entered the transfer portal, which we reported last week. We find out today, just about an hour ago, he's going to the University of Washington. Washington, going to be a Husky. We speculated on that, not nearly as much as you speculated on him being a Grizzly, but he is going to the University of Washington.
Until he signs the papers, nothing's official.
And he's tweeted it. He's tweeted
right.
It,
all I'm saying,
it's a picture of him in a Husky uniform.
All I'm saying though is that what's the situation like in Seattle? I mean, you could go play football at Washington, but what's that mean? Are they going to have football?
I don't know all the rules. I'm not going to sit here and say anything. I don't believe anything did anything wrong here whatsoever. But I think that Kevin Thompson was fairly sure about where he was going and how that landscape would look prior to entering the portal.
Well, sure.
So I think that he has
there's still a chance there could be no football in Washington this year, which then would mean if Kevin Thompson officially signs with the Washington Huskies, there's no football at Washington. That say that then the entire team gets an extra year. So now all of a sudden you have Kevin Thompson as an 8th-year senior.
That's right.
Has that ever happened in the history of college sports?
Certainly not. But what about Brandon Whedon, right, at Oklahoma State? He was like 28.
Well, yeah, but that's because he played minor league baseball.
That's right. No.
And same with Chris Wanke.
He didn't play long in. He didn't. There's no. I've never heard of even a 7th-year senior, for crying out loud, to say nothing of an 8th-year senior. But Brandon Whedon was. I think he was 28 when he was drafted by the Cleveland Browns. Okay, so we will get into that. It is a Wednesday. a Wing It Wednesday. We're going to have some fun with you, do some trivia, get you some wings to the Desperado Sports Tavern. So stick around for that. We'll do that once in this hour, once in the next hour. It is Wednesday, and so around here we have our ESPN Roundtable. Now this one is a special one. I'm pumped up about this one. Some of you will know who our guest is. Some of you, I would guess, will have no idea who our guest is. But he is the program director and the now morning show host, replacing Craig Johnson on our sister station and really the Missoula Broadcasting Company's flagship station, if I may say, the Trail 103.3, Missoula's Quality Rock. Robert Chase has been a long-standing personal friend of mine and Coulter's as well, and also is a very, very long-standing and very, how can I say, engaged Cardinals fan. When I say engaged, as we've talked about before, Robert Chase probably listens or watches well over 150 games a year of the Cardinals one way or another. Mm-hmm. Now, we're not having him on just because he's a fan. There's a lot of people who are very dedicated fans of the teams that they root for and so on. But Robert was working, was it Q101? I think
that's what it's called.
Q101 rock and roll, rock radio in Chicago, Illinois, in the summer of 1998 when the Sosa McGuire Cubs Cardinals chase for the record, for the home run record, exploded. We've just come out of this past Sunday, long gone summer, and he was front and center for that. As a Cardinals fan living in Chicago, went to a ton of Cubs games over the entire time that he lived in Chicago, and certainly spent a lot of time in that environment and at that time. So he thought it would be fun to hear stories from a guy who was there, and not just there, but there and completely engaged and engrossed in the baseball that was going on and the chase for the record and what he thinks about that now. And there's an additional element to this, is the music side of this. Jeff Tweedy of the band Wilco did the music for this 30 for 30. And Robert has a couple of connections to Mr. Tweedy and to the band and members or managers and so forth. And so I found this to be a fascinating conversation. It went way long. It went about double, actually, what our normal ones go. And so we have split it into two parts for you. We will have part one today. We will have part two tomorrow on the show. We will play it in its entirety. It'll take just about the full hour at noon tomorrow on ESPN Radio. So a lot of fun with Robert Chase, and I think that you'll find his storytelling abilities and his experiences during that time. If you're into the baseball at all, if you watch the 30 for 30, I think you'll find this to be a really fascinating and enjoyable conversation with him. So there you go. That is our show today. Coulter, you ready, my man? Should we do a little bit of NBA, National Basketball Association? We've been doing this. This is day 3 now of our favorite players by team. We're going division by division. So let's go here into the Central Division. Again, it's Chicago, Milwaukee, Indiana, Detroit, and Cleveland.
You been drinking Lotuses?
You got to separate them out. Dude, I've been just all over the water today, and it's probably something I should do more of, and maybe that's why I'm thinking so clearly.
So you have drank a Lotus on this show from Florence Coffee Company on Friday, 2 Fridays in a row, maybe 3.
Yeah, 2.
How'd that impact the rest of your weekend?
So,
because I drank one last night during the show, I stared at my ceiling until like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm telling you people, it's a wonderful, awesome energy drink. It makes you feel great. You can tell it's not full of chemicals like a lot of the energy drinks you can get out there. But you got to time this thing right, because I went Monday, 8 a.m., like maybe 9 a.m., whatever, morning. All good. Still feeling good during the show.
Yeah, you had one on the show.
I had one on the show yesterday, and I was like cleaning my house at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend, again, the Lotus afternoon unless you're going to be driving for the foreseeable future, because let's say it like this, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. Energy drink, yes, that's that and then some. All right, Coulter, let's start with the Detroit Pistons, shall we? Can we start with the Detroit Pistons?
Absolutely, can.
I liked going through Detroit because there's a lot of players in the history of the Pistons who are really good players, who are sort of polarizing players. We know about the bad boys. We know about, everything else.
One of the most distinct identities of any franchise in the NBA.
Yes. No question. I mean, Detroit Rock City, the Pistons, the whole thing, there's a number of cities whose sports teams tend to take on the persona of the city that they're in, and I would certainly say Detroit basketball is one of those. If their football team could be as tough, that would be getting them somewhere. My two favorite Pistons have the same last name. That should be a dead giveaway.
I bet you. All right, Nick could guess.
So I will start. Is number 2.
Yeah.
Ben Wallace is my favorite. Did you pick him?
Bro, if the dude has one of the 12 or 15 biggest sets of biceps in NBA history, he's my choice.
Okay.
Haven't you seen the trend here yet?
Yeah, I mean,
if you're jacked, I like you because if it was coming up in the 90s, all I cared about was guys looked like pro wrestlers no matter what sport you played because that was the best sport.
It wasn't the best sport. It's never been the best sport, but I do understand that. But there's a lot of guys to pick from.
I just wish you liked pro wrestling so bad.
No.
You should, though. You of all people that are such a good performer, that's what it is.
That's false.
I mean, if you were to say, Coulter, your life's on the line. Tell me your favorite actors ever in America. And I'd give you like 3 pro wrestlers. Okay. The characters are so epic, man.
If you get it in the right genre, absolutely, as live action theater, you have won it.
But it's tremendous. It's tremendous sport too.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it does. It takes unbelievable athleticism.
So does ballet, and ballet is beautiful and wonderful, and it's a sport.
Yes, it is.
Are you? I am stunned at this. I feel like we're going
go back
lose
to
our
the
show.
Pistons. Go back to the Pistons.
I am amazed, though. I'm not amazed that you picked Ben Wallace. He's a very likable guy and a great basketball player. So it doesn't. But I'm just saying, of the variety of guys to pick in Detroit, there's a lot of them, and you and I both land on Ben Wallace. Acquired from the Magic in 2000. And became the Defensive Player of the Year 4 times, 02-03 and 05-06, twice, back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year, was all defensive NBA team 5 straight years, and, of course, the 2004 championship, which he was integral to. He's a guy who really fell off pretty quickly when his time doing what he was capable of doing was kind of up, and he was never a great offensive player, but what he was is the machine and the intimidator in the middle of that great Pistons teams, those great Pistons teams of the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s. Phenomenal. And I loved him, man. I loved watching him. And I will say Rasheed Wallace was very high on this list for me too. I mean, I said he was number 2, but I thought long and hard about Rasheed, who I loved as much as a Blazer as I did as a Piston, but Ben Wallace, he does it for me.
I keep plugging this all the Smoke podcast, but I just think it's so good. It's such good content because I think that Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, I guess Steven Jackson, is Steven Jackson still in the NBA?
No,
they're both former NBA players.
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
Regardless, they both have such distinct roles in the NBA. They were both guys who were leaders of their team, even though they were never the best players, but they can get whatever guest they want because everybody that they ever played with, and they between the two of them, they play for more than half the NBA franchises.
Yeah.
They know everybody. So everybody thinks they're cool. But the next one they're going to do is Rasheed Wallace. I think that's going to be must listen. I can't imagine what Sheed is like on an unedited podcast.
Oh, get out of here. I'm all in. Yeah, set that. Let me know when that releases. You and I will get together.
No doubt, right? That's like
I've never met somebody to listen to a podcast, but this might be the first.
I mean, it would be very entertaining because they're hilarious.
Can I just ask you something quickly about Detroit as I was looking at this?
Yeah.
Who's the best player in the history of the Pistons?
Isaiah Thomas. Not close.
It's not close, right? It's not close. Now, this isn't just you and I here. I'm not just applying this to us. I'm not saying there's nobody. Certainly there's plenty of people, but it wouldn't shock me. I would say this. There's a whole bunch of players who are far more popular in the history of Detroit Piston basketball to Detroit Piston fans and to NBA fans at large than is Isaiah Thomas, who is unequivocally their best player.
No doubt.
And there's an asymmetry about that. I mean, usually your best player is generally certainly one of, if not unquestionably, the most popular player, and he just isn't.
Well, I mean, Isaiah Thomas is one of the most enigmatic players in NBA history.
Yeah.
I mean, Isaiah Thomas, resume-wise, is one of the 15 best players of all time. but he also has gaps in his resume because of his inability to get along with other people, namely Michael Jordan. I mean, Isaiah Thomas is the second best point guard of all time if he plays on the Dream Team, and he didn't, and so it's a gap in his resume. He doesn't have a gold medal. John Stockton does.
Yeah.
It evens the playing field between those two, even though Isaiah Thomas has 2 rings and John Stockton does not. I mean, Isaiah Thomas has always been a guy that I think he's strived for people to like him ever since his days at Indiana and never has been beloved like he wants to be. And I think he just tries too hard and he just can't really click. But then he's this unbelievable competitor. And I think when he was on the field of competition too, it rubbed people the wrong way because there's all sorts of fierce competitors, but there's guys like him that were poor losers, poor sports, and I think it rubbed all his peers the wrong way. And so much of your legacy as a basketball player is what your peers thought of you at the time too. And he was always the outsider with that whole group of guys who really brought the NBA to prominence.
Agree with you across the board on everything you said, but also this. If you're a fan of the team, if you're from Detroit and your guy, your best player is the guy who's sitting up there being that needle in the side kind of guy and the driving force competitively, and even if he is a bad loser or whatever, generally that is embraced and beloved. And I'm not saying he's not embraced by Detroit fans, but I am saying as you look back, I think there's a lot of Pistons fans who don't have Isaiah Thomas on the top of their favorite player list.
No doubt. Well, and the Pistons are distinctly unique in the NBA's lineage as well because they have 3 rings, which is more than most people because, as we know, the Lakers and the Celtics have half of them.
Right.
But, I mean, the Pistons have as many rings as franchises like the New York Knicks. But the Pistons have one true Hall of Fame player. Joe Dumars is in the Hall of Fame, but he was in the Hall of Fame because he played next to Isaiah Thomas. Mm-hmm. But they only have one true first ballot Hall of Famer. That is so different than almost everybody else that's won multiple championships. Usually you have 3 Hall of Famers on a single team.
Right.
But it's a testament to
how good he was.
It's also a testament to this. The Pistons had 2 of the greatest coaches in the history of the NBA.
And Chuck
Daly and Larry Brown.
Yeah.
And those guys made teams full of all-stars, but not superstars and not Hall of Famers, win championships. I mean, that 2004 Pistons team is one of the most epic teams ever because they had no one that was even close to a Hall of Famer, but they had 5 or 6 guys that were all-star quality, and they all got along, and they took down one of the greatest franchises one of the greatest teams in the history of the league in the Lakers. I mean, who would have ever thought that Pistons team could beat the Lakers that were coming off the Kobe Shaq era that had added still pretty good Karl Malone and still very good Gary Payton? No one thought that could have happened.
Last thing, who is Isaiah Thomas's current NBA player comp? There is a right answer.
De'Aaron Fox?
No.
Who?
Yeah, I'm just talking about in all the ways. It's Kyrie Irving.
No.
Yes.
How? What?
Yeah.
Because of how anomalous they are?
Yeah.
But Kyrie Irving is
his perception.
Take this with a grain of salt, but Kyrie Irving is significantly more skilled than Isaiah Thomas.
Okay, I'm not.
But Isaiah Thomas is significantly more competitive and a way better two-way player.
I'm talking about not in terms of their what they do playing the game per se.
Sure, because of their enigmatic. How enigmatic they are.
Players who are not beloved.
Yeah, I don't like the comp though because Isaiah Thomas was, even though he was abrasive, but he was also a dog, which made it so that he could win. I don't know if Kyrie Irving even lives on planet Earth.
It's the right comp. Tootell, Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Just assert and move on. That's how you.
Kyrie Irving will have one of the most interesting careers to remember ever because he's such a how do you say this? He's such a Rucker Park legend, right? Like the amount of street that he plays with in a game that is way more structured than it's ever been is just completely, it's beyond belief. I think that more people like Kyrie Irving than we want to give them credit for. Like the youth of America, like if you were to do a poll of college basketball players, who's your favorite player right now? I bet you as many people say Kyrie Irving as any other player.
No.
Dude, people love Uncle Drew, man.
Okay, speaking of, go to Cleveland.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I mean, it's LeBron James.
That's
it.
It's no question LeBron James. I mean, I loved Mark Price once upon a time back in the day. Craig Elo, Brad Daugherty, but
LeBron James defines Cleveland more than any other player defines their franchise, and that's crazy to think that he left him in the dust, returned, and then led him to glory, and then left him in the dust again, yet is still absolutely the player that is tied with his specific franchise more than any other player besides maybe Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. And maybe Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics. But other than that, I mean, it's LeBron in Cleveland, right?
How does 30 for 30 start? What if I told you? Now, what if I told you that LeBron James's greatest Cleveland moment was not him playing basketball or doing anything on the basketball floor whatsoever?
What was it?
Game 7 of the 2016 World Series in Cleveland, Ohio. Jacobs Field, formerly Jacobs Field. What is it now? It's like something else. It's not a person.
Yeah, it's of course they sold the naming rights because why wouldn't
something
they?
like that. Anyway, the Cavs had a game that night, and LeBron James, now the queue where the Cavs play is connected to the field where Cleveland plays,
right?
The Indians play.
Well, I know what you're getting at. When LeBron came,
so he finishes the game, and they come out, and it's somewhere, I don't know where in the game it is that he makes it over there, but it's the 8th, the 9th inning, whatever it is, and here it is. The Cubs are up a couple of runs, right, and it's Aroldis Chapman on the mound, and it's the whole thing, and a home run is hit. I don't even remember who hit it. Maybe you will. But
I think it was Jason Kipnis.
It's not even a possible home run to have it hit over the left field fence.
It was like the little line drive. It was Jason Kipnis
to tie the game, and if it was in the 9th or the 10th inning, even at that point, I don't know. And the entire place goes berserk, and LeBron James is losing his mind as a fan, unlike I've ever seen, him go before. It's so interesting that as an athlete, you almost never celebrate as much as the fans do in terms of your own reactions to it. But in this moment, he was a complete fan, and there was nothing put on about it. He's actually up in the upper deck. I mean, you always assume if you're LeBron James, the cameras are on you, but it's not like he was sitting in some place where it was obvious that he was being taped or whatever.
But he's obviously sitting in the owner's box,
and he is screaming, losing his mind with a shirt that says Cleveland or nowhere, I think is what it said.
Yeah.
And it was, for a city that from a sports standpoint and really from a lot of other standpoints has only been an underdog and has tried to find things to feel good about and has tried to find like moments to hang their hats on, for the greatest athlete in the history of your city.
Jim Brown sweating.
History of your city, to stand up there repping just your city and nothing else like that in a moment like that. That's the greatest single moment of LeBron James' Cleveland life.
I love it, man. A part of me wishes that LeBron James would have stayed in Cleveland for his whole career. Another part of me, though, actually really appreciates what he has done, because I think that I've always talked about the way that Michael Jordan defined what winning and what success is in the NBA. I think has been, it is absolutely absolute, but I also think that it skews our lens of how we gauge greatness a lot of times. I just don't know if it's ever going to be replicable, and so then therefore I think that we maybe underrate almost everybody that's not Michael Jordan because of the standard that he set. It's a testament to his greatness, but I also think that LeBron is setting a different standard about how to do it in the modern era, about how to navigate it where you're never going to get Scottie Pippen to play for $2 million. That's not happening again. Like the Last Dance, when the Last Dance was going, that's what I'm saying. Like when the Last Dance was going down, all I was thinking was, man, like when Scottie Pippen was holding out. No, Scottie Pippen just demands a trade, and he goes and plays for some irrelevant team, and is just like the best player on some 40-win team, and the Bulls maybe never happened. It's just a totally different era.
Just quickly on that about him leaving too, and how you're happy that he did it. I'm happy he did it as well. However, there's something to be said for being the second to worst at something. Because if you're the worst, everybody piles on you as the worst, and then nobody really pays attention to the second to worst. Hands down, Dan Gilbert's the second to worst owner in the NBA, behind James Dolan. But everybody is just here to shred James Dolan and the Knicks and everything else. If Dan Gilbert wasn't the owner of the Cavs, it's not clear to me that LeBron isn't a lifer in Cleveland, and you don't have a bank of championships sitting there. Not clear to me.
But LeBron Inc. was just such a powerful thing. He knew he had to go to a big market. He knew he did.
That's insane. It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. All right, what do you want to do?
I want to do.
I mean, I just got a bunch of front runners here.
Well, of course. I mean,
Chicago. We just did 10 weeks on it. Michael Jordan. That's it. End of conversation.
Mine's not Michael Jordan. Actually, mine is 2011 Derrick Rose. I love Derrick Rose. I think that Derrick Rose, of all the tragic tales we've seen in sports, I think the one in my lifetime where a guy got more robbed from him than anyone was Derrick Rose. I mean, I think Derrick Rose is a truly transcendent player. I think he had potential to be the greatest point guard that ever played in the NBA. I mean, he won the MVP when he was 21 years old.
Yes, all of these things.
I mean, listening to all the Smoke podcasts, like Rip Hamilton and Matt Barnes are talking about him, they're like, man, when we first saw Derrick Rose, we're like, dude, no one can guard this guy. No one will ever be able to guard this guy.
That's right.
He was silly good.
Yep.
It's so, and then you like learn about him and his background and his personality and like the mood disorders that he's experienced in his life, and he suffered from depression, and I mean the documentary that Stadium did called Pooh, it's so striking because he's just gotten ridiculed for not being something that he's not. He's just a quiet guy. He never wanted to talk to anybody, and everybody thought he was like this surly bad teammate. And when they told it, when the trainers in Chicago cleared him. And then he was like, I'm not good to play. And then he just got destroyed for that. And that documentary is so heart-wrenching because you just feel so bad for this guy. But I mean, Jordan is the obvious answer. But
he's certainly my answer.
Yeah. But no, I got Derrick Rose.
All right. What do you want to do? Milwaukee or
Indiana? In the end, I think we both got the exact same guy.
Reggie
Miller evolved in my mind more than any basketball player. I hated Reggie Miller when he was first playing, and then I grew to absolutely love him. Once I got the shtick, then I thought he was just the greatest. He's one of the funniest villains. He's not a villain, but he's such an antagonist.
He's that's a great word for him. That's exactly what he is. But it's not a shtick.
No, it's not shtick. It's not shtick.
It's.
Have you watched Winning Time? The Dan Flores 30 for 30 about Reggie Miller against the New York Knicks.
Oh yes.
The quote where Reggie Miller says, "You want to know why I am the way I am?" He said, "You try being the little brother of the best women's basketball player ever." He said, "You try being me, an NBA Hall of Famer, and getting beat by your sister every single time you played for your whole life. How you? I mean, of course I talk smack."
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's Reggie. Reggie is, I mean, you talk about guys that are undisputably the greatest player in their franchise history. He's definitely right there. I mean, he is the greatest pacer by far and away.
Yeah, he is. But also, unlike in Detroit, he is the most loved pacer of all time.
No question. Too. Well, but also because of the decisions that he made. I mean, one of the most underrated decisions in NBA history is when Magic Johnson. So Reggie Miller's married to Magic Johnson. Is he still married to the same gal, Magic Johnson? Regardless, Magic Johnson's at least former wife, and I think still current wife, set Reggie Miller up with his wife. And this was all to get Reggie Miller, who's from Riverside, California, to sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. Yep. Magic Johnson offered Reggie Miller a max contract to leave Indiana. Reggie said, "Thanks, but no thanks," doubled down and built the biggest house in the history of the Indianapolis metropolitan area, and now he's got it. I think Reggie Miller still has a banner hanging from the building.
He's the mayor, he's the governor, he's everything of Indiana, and he is the best player ever. How much does what guys go on to do, particularly in the broadcasting world, influence our feelings about them? I mean, I know this is a totally
contrarian opinion, but I think the more Charles Barkley goes, the more he diminishes his legacy as an athlete, because he is now evolving to the point where he is a absolutely household name broadcaster. But every time he's doing his little shtick about being overweight, not being able to swing the golf club, probably drinking whiskey in the coffee cup while he's on NBA Tonight, people forget that he's one of the most ferocious athletes that ever played. Yeah. And I don't think that it's like detrimental, but it just makes people forget the more popular you are in a new phase. You know what I mean? No one remembers Ahmad Rashad was like 8-time Pro Bowl wide receiver.
Chris Collinsworth was a very
Hall
good
of
wide receiver, and on and on. I don't think it matters, because here's the thing: I think it only accentuates the memory, because if you're not in front of people and people aren't thinking about you at all, then it's just gone. Like at some point they go, "Oh yeah," like Charles like how many other great Hall of Fame players played with Charles Barkley at the time that Charles played? Several, right?
You mean like on his same teams?
No. Just in the NBA.
Oh, it's more than several. Lots.
Yeah. I mean, you could come up with the list.
Oh, you could.
But they're not top of mind the way Chuck's top of mind. I mean, that's just what it is. But, okay. Anyhow,
I think that Reggie Miller.
Reg.
I actually think Reggie Miller is a better broadcaster than any of the other former players. Only because you want to know what Reggie does that or what Reggie doesn't that everybody else does. Shaq, Charles Barkley, Chris Webber. They all talk about how good they were. And this guy, I remember when I was doing this. Shaq's only take is, well, he's all right, but he's not as good as me. Yeah. Okay. Reggie Miller just analyzes the game. That's why I think he's great. Him and Cheryl Miller are both great.
Last one, we go to Milwaukee.
I know you got the new guy in town. You got Giannis.
Well, he probably is, but no, I don't.
Who do you got?
I took the big O.
Wow.
Oscar Robertson.
Okay.
Now, he only played, I think, 4 years, I guess it was, with the Bucks, but won their first and only championship along with, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, then Lou Alcindor, with Milwaukee in 71. I think it was 1971. He was the original Magic before Magic was Magic in terms of a big point guard who was, a great passer and all of that stuff, and also just. I don't know. He's a transcendent type of player, and at a time you're always talking to me about how in the NBA the eras of the NBA and what they were over the course of time, and really it's the Lakers and Showtime Lakers and some of the old time Celtics, but they really ushered in kind of what the NBA is. But Oscar Robertson fills that space in which there wasn't a ton going on. It's being among, one of the top 3 players in the league for a long period. So he was a Milwaukee Buck. I like him. He's my favorite.
My favorite is Ray Allen, but first we got to say I think that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, even though he only played for the Bucks for 6 years, was still the greatest Buck of all time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he won 3 MVPs there. He won a championship there.
He won their only championship. Yeah.
How about this for a take?
I don't know.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the most underrated player in NBA history. Because I think everybody thinks of Kareem as a top 10 player, but no one ever mentions him as the greatest player. And I know that Michael Jordan has he sits atop the throne, and Bill Russell's the only other guy that can maybe sit in the throne next to him when it comes to the conversation. But when you actually look at the numbers and you actually look at the impact that someone had on the game of basketball, and you put their entire career from college through the pros together, he is unbelievable. This is actually good. I was actually going to mention Sidney Moncrief as well. I mean, Sidney Moncrief is another kind of forgotten guy because he played early with Oscar Robertson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Then they left, and he carried them, and they were always kind of a middle of the Eastern Conference team, but never over the top. But he was an awesome player as well. But, I mean, man, Kareem's a 19-time All-Star. He's a 6-time MVP, 6-time NBA champion. I mean, his resume stacks up with literally anybody.
It does. I think that one of the reasons that he doesn't get all the love is just, some of when he was on the very early side of people think of him with the Lakers and that Lakers team to me as the first modern NBA.
Right.
He did a lot before it was the modern NBA.
Exactly.
And when it was the modern NBA, he did it with James Worthy and Magic Johnson and Byron Scott and on and on and on.
And people remember the balding, hobbled, wearing goggles and high socks, dorky Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Now, don't knock the socks.
All I'm saying, somehow people forget about the afro goatee, unbelievable, the Lou Alcindor. Lou when he was still Lou Alcindor, there was no argument of who the best player in the NBA was. I mean, he is an unbelievable player. I had Ray Allen though, just because when Ray Allen was playing for the Bucks, he was such a pop culture icon, especially for people our age. Because Jesus Shuttlesworth, man. I mean, he got game.
Yep.
Talking about things that could have gone different. What if Kobe Bryant would have taken that role instead of Ray Allen? It would have just been interesting to see how that would have impacted each of their popularity.
I'm not sure Kobe's the actor.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Kobe's kind of Kobe, and he's going to be hard pressed to do it much different. It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. On the other side, Kevin Thompson is going to the University of Washington. What does this mean for the Washington Huskies? We'll discuss that right after this. Hey, summer is here. Get out of the house and play some golf at Canyon River Golf Club, a picturesque setting, pristine 18-hole championship course along the Clark Fork River there in East Missoula, right in the Hellgate Canyon in the valley, beautiful in every direction that you look. The course itself, meticulous, in perfect condition right now. Get out there and play. You go online to canyonrivergolfclub.com. You can book tee times online. You can save money booking tee times online. And in general, it's Father's Day, Coulter? Are you going golfing for Father's Day?
Absolutely.
Your brother is a father. What does he want to do? Golf. What do I want to do? I'm a dad. Golf. What does my dad want to do? Golf.
That's right.
Canyon River Golf Club. That's where you're going to go.
Is it the U.S. Open this weekend for golf?
No.
They pushed it all the way back to the.
It's
because that used to be my favorite Father's Day tradition. Play golf in the morning, go watch the final round of the U.S. Open.
Check the end of it. Well, you will get that opportunity, but in the morning you go to Canyon River and play. It is one of the most beautiful and most perfectly maintained courses in the area and in the state. Do yourself a favor. Canyon River Golf Club online. canyonrivergolfclub.com.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Alignment and Brakes and Shocks and Wheels and Tires. Some tire places don't offer all that, but we do to help keep you safe. And during our Ready for Summer tire sale, save up to $110 on a set of 4 select tires. We're open, so stop on by or book an appointment at leschwab.com. Les Schwab Tires. Doing the right thing matters. Limited time offer while supplies last. Actual discount amount depends on tire size and type. Cannot be combined with other offers. Details at leschwab.com.
Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape to give you the challenge and fun you're looking for. Visit canyonrivergolfclub.com to book your tee time online and save big all season. You've been cooped up, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club.
Blaine McElmurray knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete from a small town in Montana. The Troy native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies on UM's 95 National Championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. McElmurray has also used those values in his work at McElmurray Homes. Since 2003, McElmurray Homes has helped contract and subcontract some of the Garden City's finest houses. McElmurray Homes is committed to offering quality custom service, quality products, and the best prices throughout any project. And McElmurray Homes is also a proud supporter of high school athletes around the state of Montana.
Now more than ever, the Flower Bed is committed to using locally sourced flowers in our designs. Local flower growers have been impacted by canceled events due to the pandemic, so we are expanding our local network and buying as much as we can. Dawn loves to work with these fresh and vibrant flowers, and customers reap the benefit of having Montana-grown beauty on their tables and knowing they're helping out a small but critical part of the local economy. Call the Flower Bed at 721-9233 to order a locally grown arrangement today.
Yes, Polaris is open. The great outdoors are wide open, so why not make the most of it during the Polaris Summer Sales event? Take the family on a cross-country adventure with Polaris General, the world's most comfortable, most powerful sports utility machines. Kick up some dust in a Razor, the off-road's most thrilling performance side-by-sides. Grab the bars of a legendary Sportsman ATV and discover the freedom of unstoppable performance. Or get more done between your fence lines with Ranger, America's favorite off-road workhorse. There's never been a better time to say yes to outdoor adventure. Enjoy rebates up to $1,000 on the off-road's best during the Polaris Summer Sales event at Kurtz Polaris. Kurtz Polaris is at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula and Highway 83 in Sealy. Kurtz has all the best in off-roading with dirt bikes and side-by-sides, and now Kurtz has Crest pontoon boats in stock for the season. Summer is here at Kurtz Polaris, online at kurtzpolaris.com. Offers valid in U.S. through 6/30/20 on new 2016 through 2020 vehicles. Offers vary by model. See dealer for details. Always wear a helmet, never drink and ride.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colton Nuanez. Here's some sports news for you. Another former football player with Montana ties is on the most recent College Football Hall of Fame ballot. Former Montana State All-American Bill Kohler is the latest up for the prestigious enshrinement. Former Montana quarterback Dave Dickinson and former MSU quarterback Dennis Erickson were enshrined over each of the last 2 years, respectively.
Kohler, one of 99 players on the ballot in his category, the National Football Foundation announced on Tuesday. Kohler was a first-team All-American in 1973 for the Bobcats and the first lineman in Big Sky Conference history to earn first-team All-League honors 3 years in a row. The Ohio native was a Big Sky Conference Defensive Player of the Year in 1972 and the first defensive player ever to earn MVP honors in the Senior Bowl. Kohler played 8 seasons in the NFL and has been a coach since 1984. He is currently the defensive line coach for the Denver Broncos. And in breaking news today, the Big Sky Conference will suspend all athletic activities on Election Day. That's November 3rd for those that are counting. The conference's Student Athletic Advisory Committee recommended this initiative, and the league's athletic directors unanimously approved them on Wednesday afternoon.
And finally, Steve Keller of Providence and Sean Hughes of Montana State Northern have been chosen among the top 50 most impactful men's basketball coaches in Division II or NAIA.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound. He's the one that makes you feel all right. He's the one that calls that it feels good. Cops on the corner always ignore somebody getting paid. Jimmy's got wide laws for high, got paid in jail. Got a little highway, does business all day, but at night he lost the bound. Still true to the sleep, people on the street call this Jimmy's town.
Welcome back. Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. At Gus Tootell, at 102.9 ESPN, and at Skyline Sports MT on Twitter. Coming up here in about 10 minutes or so, a Wing It Wednesday. So rev your engines. Get yourself, ready to go for that, 361-3688. But, Colter, we wanted to...
We talk about Motley Crue?
No. I do not want to talk about
Motley Crue. Campy, hokey, killer, or none of the above?
Hokey, and I don't know why. Why are you doing this to me?
Because I just love Motley Crue. I think they're a hilarious parody of them themselves.
Yeah, there's a couple bands out there that are just that. Kevin Thompson. Put a bookmark in our music conversation because I got one for you for later. Kevin Thompson, now former Sacramento State Hornet, who is heading into his senior year as a seventh-year senior, had a redshirt season, had a couple of injury medical redshirts in there as well, but had a fantastic year last year and was the Big Sky Conference Offensive Player of the Year. Well-deserved, took Sacramento State to heights that they had never been to before, including the postseason. I think they were ranked as highly as number 4 in the country.
They were.
At one stage last year.
They got the 4th seed in the playoffs, in fact.
He has transferred to the University of Washington. By the way, he is on the University of Washington website.
Wow.
They've already got the roster on there. He is the 5th listed quarterback, not 5th on the depth chart, but in terms of guys just that are on the team. There are 5 of them. 2 freshmen, 1 a redshirt freshman, and 2 sophomores, and Kevin Thompson.
I'm pretty sure the true freshman was an Elite 11 guy, too, or at least he was an incredibly highly recruited guy.
It's Ether Garbers, out of Newport Beach, California, is the true freshman that is on the team. Jacob Sermon and
then
Jesse
they also got
Martineau. And then Dylan Morris is a redshirt freshman from Puyallup, local guy.
Yeah. That's the kid I'm thinking of. He was a highly recruited guy. He was a Washington Player of the Year a couple years ago.
And he is coming off his redshirt year. But Kevin Thompson, as a grad transfer, goes to a place where there's not even an upperclassman on the team at the position. And this is, we talked about this before, Coulter, but you sit here and you look around. First of all, Washington coming off of Jacob Eason, right, who is it was originally from Washington, goes to Georgia, comes back, and then was drafted in this most recent draft, has been a place where they've had some good quarterbacks roll through. I mean, Jake Browning was a very productive player. Obviously, Jake Locker was a number 8 overall pick.
Yeah, Jake Locker was really good. Keith Price was good.
So
always had good quarterbacks.
Brock Heward,
Mark Brunell. Starting quarterback Marquez Sopo. They've had every quarterback that UW's had in the last 30 years has been good.
Now, when you can look at the ages in certain respects and go, okay, but also if a kid is, that talented, like you said, an Elite 11 type of guy who's maybe from the area, it's not like you're not going, okay, well, we got Kevin Thompson in here. He's a senior. He's done it before. You go ahead. You're going to play the best guy. But with a new coaching staff and no seniority in the room as such, I think this was a potentially very mutually beneficial thing, and I think Kevin Thompson has a real shot to win over that position.
I think he's got a real shot, but I think that I wouldn't go somewhere where I wasn't the guaranteed guy. I mean, Jacob Sirmon is a 5-star recruit. I mean, he was one of the big gets that the Huskies had in their recruiting class 2 years ago. He's also been wishy-washy. He's talked a little bit about and maybe even explored the prospects of transferring. There was actually some rumors that maybe Montana could be on his radar because the Sirmons have such deep Big Sky Conference ties with, I can't remember which brother played where, but there was a Sirmon brother that played at Montana, and then Cy Sirmon played at Montana this last year. And I can't remember if it was his dad or his uncle that also played at Montana, but then also his dad or uncle played at Idaho. So there's a bunch of inland Northwest ties. But Sirmon himself, I mean, he's a talented guy if he can figure it out. He's the quarterback of the future. It just remains to be seen if he's the quarterback of right now. But I just think Kevin Thompson, on one hand, I just wonder, first of all, he's never played a full season. Never. Not one time in his college football career, and he's going into his 7th college football season. He was originally recruited to UNLV by Bobby Hauck.
Yep.
He got hurt there, couldn't beat out a variety of players, including Dalton Snead. He then transfers, and then he's been hurt at Sac State. Even last year when he won the Big Sky MVP, he was still hurt he got hurt in the Weber game and then missed the next game as well. Kevin Thompson's a great dual threat quarterback, but he's also, he got banged up just even in the Big Sky Conference level. I don't know if he can be a dual threat guy in the Pac-12 level. I think that he's a really fast quarterback for the Big Sky Conference. I think he's not a fast quarterback in the Pac-12. I think he's an adequately sized quarterback in the Big Sky Conference. I think he's small for the Pac-12. I mean, Kevin Thompson, he's
6'2", 200.
He's listed at 6'2". I interviewed him. He says he's as tall as I am in cleats. He's about 6 feet tall. He's not, and that's not like something that's very rare. That's most quarterbacks in the Big Sky that are listed at 6'2" are 6 feet tall. I just hope that he doesn't have a Gage Gubert situation coming up, because Gage Gubert was one of the best players in the entire FCS. He gets hurt against Montana State. He ends up being able to take his red shirt because he only played in 4 games. He grad transfers to Washington State, and he does not sniff the field. It would just be so unfortunate for people around the Big Sky Conference, particularly at Sac State, if Kevin Thompson doesn't get a sniff the field. The other thing is, with UW's scheme right now, Kevin Thompson had the perfect play caller for him in Troy Taylor. I mean, that was a match made in heaven. That's why Sac State had the greatest season in their school's history the first year Troy Taylor was ever the head coach, because it was such a great chemistry between those two. And so I just wonder what the fit's going to be. I'm rooting for Kevin Thompson. You know, he's a guy that's been great to us. He's come on the show almost half a dozen times already. I talked to him actually yesterday before he announced this, and he said he's willing to come on again. But I just think that I really hope he can go win that job, because if he doesn't, it's going to be a waste for everybody that's involved in Big Sky Conference football.
Well, let's be clear too. Jimmy Lake's the new head coach at Washington, and John Donovan is a brand new offensive coordinator and quarterback.
Right, because Bush Hamdan moved on. That's right.
Quarterbacks coach.
That's
so
right.
We don't know what they're going to do scheme wise, or as far as that goes, and also Gardner Minshew keeping you off the field makes sense. He was, that good. That's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. Whether Washington has that type of player on their team, I don't know. Here's what I would say. You, as a grad transfer coming into a place, it's on one hand, I think it's incumbent on all coaches to be honest to some extent with the players. I'm not saying, you can't sit here and just sell the world to every guy and get them all in there, and then, because you're going to have a revolt on your hands, because it can't be true for everybody, okay? So we get that. But I would think that you run the risk of really souring not just an individual, but a whole group of players that he comes into contact with if you say, hey, man, we think that you got a lot of what we would like to see, and then you realize after the fact that you actually had no chance. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is whether or not Kevin Thompson becomes the starter at Washington, I have no idea. But I don't think he goes there without the expectation and belief that he either is going to be the guy or has a very real possibility to be the guy. And if it turns out that isn't the case, then all of a sudden, I mean, that can go badly if you have the only veteran quarterback moping around and unhappy and saying whatever he's saying to other players.
And that's the most precarious part about this whole thing. That's why I addressed the fact that Jacob Sirmon has already floated that he was a little bit wishy-washy about his situation there already. He already had floated his name as potentially wanting to transfer. So now you have twofold, right? I mean, if you got the 7th-year senior who goes there with all intentions to start and then he doesn't start, okay, now you got this guy. How does he affect the dynamic of the team? But if this guy who comes in from the FCS level, who has no reps at the big time college football, and he does win the job, now what's the 5-star kid who you recruited from Bothell right down the road think? Do you lose him now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weird situation to be in. I'm rooting for Kevin Thompson all day in this situation. Certainly. But I just don't know what actually the UW coaches are thinking. They obviously either want to push Sermon or they're hesitant to believe in what they actually got with him. Because if you really coming out of high school, he's the number one recruit in the state of Washington. I think he's the number 6 quarterback in the country. If you don't believe in that guy already, I don't know. Maybe they're just wanting to make him better, but it just seems like they're playing with fire here in terms of the chemistry of the quarterback room.
It's true. Kevin Thompson, though, Coulter, you and I have talked to him a bunch. He seems like of all the types of kids that you would want to have in your program, Kevin Thompson fits the mold all day long. He couldn't be smarter, couldn't be more engaging, and couldn't be more, as a seventh-year guy, of a leader, it seems like, who's going to be able to take everything, at least in some sense, in stride. He's seen more than anybody on this team has seen when it comes to football, and so, we'll see. Tootell, Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Hey, give us a call, 361-3688. Let's do a Wing It Wednesday, huh? Let's do it right now. Give us a call, 361-3688. We got some questions for you. Try and get you some wings to the Desperado Sports Tavern right after this. Kurtz Polaris, 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy. As the weather warms up, it's the time to get outside. You can get outside in a whole bunch of ways. You can go riding on your dirt bike. They got great Beta and Husqvarna dirt bikes, the top of the line at Kurtz Polaris. You can also, if you got work to get done, maybe you got some logging to do, maybe you got some trails you want to go check out, get their side-by-sides. The General, the Ranger, those are your workhorses. Or if you just want to go fast and go buzzing around the state of Montana, get the Razor. That'll get it done for you. Maybe you want to go to the lake, huh? Flathead, like Mary Ronan. Georgetown, I don't know where you're going, but you need a boat. You need a Crest pontoon boat specifically, okay? That is the life of leisure. Let me know when you were ready to go, okay? Give me a call. We'll, I'll be happy to back the trailer into the pond for you. Crest pontoon boats, as good as it gets. They're available at Kurtz Polaris as well. Summer, the way you always envisioned at Kurtz, online at kurtzpolaris.com.
This Father's Day, treat Dad like a king with the Montana Club's Hungry Man specials. Kick things off with Kobe and pork sliders, then feast on our cowboy ribeye or bacon blue prime sirloin. If Dad's an early riser, bring him in for our 1-pound chicken fried steak and eggs. Plus, we'll treat Dad like royalty with the free beer on Father's Day. Full menu at montanaclub.com. Dinner specials served Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
After a long couple of months, it's finally feeling like we're getting back to business as usual. But it's not the usual at all. At Missoula's Wingate, we are, as always, committed to giving you a relaxing stay at a great value. But we're also balancing the new guidelines like maximum pool occupancies and increased disinfecting to protect your health with a never-ending pledge to make you feel at home when you're not. If you find yourself on the road in the Missoula area, please consider staying with us at Missoula's Wingate.
Missoula Bone & Joint, we call it walk-in urgent care, but really, you may limp in, roll in, hobble in, or be carried in. What we're really saying is that you don't need an appointment when you have an urgent orthopedic injury or condition. Save yourself time and money and come directly to the specialist. Missoula Bone & Joint's walk-in orthopedic urgent care on Mullen Road now has its own entrance. Look for the blue awning just past the main entrance. Missoula Bone & Joint, quality care from people who care.
Hey, David here with Garden City Plumbing and Heating. Did you know that, according to the EPA, the concentrations of some pollutants are often 2 to 5 times higher indoors than they are outdoors? With you and your family spending more time in your home, you should not have to second-guess the indoor air you breathe. You deserve to be comfortable and to trust it. If you have any questions about indoor air quality, or if you would like to schedule a free indoor air quality consultation, call us today at 728-5550.
There's a reason the Desperado has been voted best wings and sports bar in Missoula. Start with the wings. Despo wings are never frozen, which is why they're always big, juicy, and tender. And the burgers and steaks at the Despo? They purchase them each day from a butcher shop right here in town. And when it comes to drinks, the Despo has the coldest beer on tap and is always served in a frosty mug. All this plus the NFL ticket every Sunday, Grizz games, and the friendliest staff in town. The Desperado Sports Tavern, across from the Y on Russell.
The Montana Department of Justice is changing our response to sexual assaults to better serve survivors.
My grandma. My brother.
My daughter.
My mom.
My friend.
The Sexual Assault Kit Initiative, known as SAKI, is training criminal justice responders, ensuring evidence is tested, and tracking every kit through the system. All sexual assault survivors deserve justice. Find more information on the Montana Department of Justice website, brought to you in cooperation with the Montana Broadcasters Association.
Tootell and Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
Welcome back to Tootell Nuanez 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. If you're watching us on the TV side, yes, we do have a new studio accoutrement. Our award came in the mail just now. They walked it into us, Coulter. Sports coverage, what do you know? Congratulations, man.
Thanks for running a great program here, Gus, and letting me participate.
Well, we'll leave that perch for about 11 seconds, and then we'll move it back into the box. Let's go to the phones. It is time for a Wing It Wednesday. After all, we go to the phones. We welcome in Bucky to the show. Hello, Bucky. How are you?
Good. What's going on, guys?
Well, not too much, Bucky. I'll tell you what, we're sitting here, we're contemplating how great we are at covering sports because we've just gotten a piece of glass that says so we feel very good about this. And now we're going to see if we can't get you some wings to the Desperado. Are you a big wings guy?
I am. Big wing guy.
Okay, that's good. That's the first place to start. So here's the deal, Bucky. We're going to ask you 3 questions, okay? If you get 2 of them right, you got wings to the Desperado Sports Tavern, the best wings in the city of Missoula. If you get all 3, we're going to give you a shirt. And if you need help on any one of these, I am your lifeline. Okay, does that sound all right to you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Boy, some chicken wings would really hit the spot. Tummy likey. Tummy want wingy.
Okay, Bucky, here we go. Question number 1. These are Coulter's questions. I hold no responsibility here, but I will do my best to help you if you need it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, Bucky, here we go. Who has won the most Cy Young Awards in baseball history?
Now,
do I get some options to pick from?
Nope, no options.
Just as a matter of clarification, it's not Cy Young.
Not Cy Young, no. Cy Young never won the Cy Young Award. In fact, they did not create the award until long after Cy Young retired, maybe even died.
You don't say. Okay, well, that's disappointing.
This is a bit of a stab in the dark, but I'm going to have to go Roger Clemens.
It's not a stab in the dark. It's the only answer.
Whoa!
Roger Clemens, 7 Cy Young Awards. I would say,
really?
I know that there's the steroids and all that, but to win your first Cy Young Award in 1986 and to win your last Cy Young Award in 2004 is
drugs.
Is one of the greatest accomplishments.
No, there's no. That is the exact highlight of cheating that we're talking about. He won his Cy Youngs 15 years apart. How? Captain Crunch? Probably not. All right. Question 2.
All right, Bucky, question 2. There are 2 pitchers that have won 4 Cy Young Awards in a row. Both happened in the National League. Name one of those 2 pitchers that won 4 consecutive Cy Young Awards.
So I get 2 guesses, right?
No,
there's 2 possible answers.
One guess. You still have a lifeline.
You get 2 guesses. Yes, to name 2 guys. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to have to say, we'll play the percentages here and say one's got to be Roger Clemens again.
Nope, Roger Clemens never won even consecutive. Actually, did. He won 1986, 1987, but then 91, 97, 98. So we went back-to-back then, and then 2001, 2004. But no 4 consecutive for Roger Clemens.
Was one of them Randy Johnson?
Randy Johnson is one. Can you name the other?
Where did Randy Johnson win?
Arizona, 4 consecutive from 1999 to 2002.
Arizona, huh?
Yep.
So never when he was with Seattle.
He did win a Cy Young with Seattle as well.
But not in
How about Greg Maddux?
Look at you, Bucky.
Hey!
I want to know who's in the office with the Google machine.
I do hear a little something in the background.
But Greg Maddux.
No, Bucky knows more than you think, guys.
Greg Maddux won 4 consecutive Cy Youngs between 1992 and 1995. The first with Ryan's Chicago Cubs. The next 3 with the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves during that span had every Cy Young award besides the one Maddux won with the Cubs. in the 90s. Tom Glavine won in 91, John Smoltz won in 1996, and then Tom Glavine won again in 1998.
Question number 3.
Okay, question number 3. Roger Clemens has 7 Cy Young Awards. Randy Johnson, 5. Greg Maddux, 4. One other pitcher has 4 career Cy Young Awards. Name that pitcher.
Man.
Tootell, how confident do you feel about this?
Very, very low confidence level. Very low.
So if I ask Tootell
tell me some names you're thinking of.
What about Nolan Ryan?
All-time strikeout leader. I mean, he's on the list. Felix, no way that he won 4.
Never even won 1.
Really?
Actually, no, he did win 1.
He did.
Yeah, he did. He did win 1. You're right.
I mean, what about
Kershaw? No.
No.
How close to modern are we talking
1972 to 1982 was the span of him. He played for the Philadelphia Phillies.
72 to 82.
In the 70s and played for the Phillies?
I'm out.
You guys are both out.
Who is it? Colton?
Yeah, I have no idea.
He's arguably, I don't know. He's among the greatest left-handed pitchers of all time. When he retired, I think he was probably considered, him and Sandy Koufax are probably considered the 2 greatest lefties of all time. Steve Carlton. Steve Carlton won in 72, 77, 80, and 82.
Bucky, you still got 2 out of 3. You still got wings to the Desperado. Congratulations, man. Give your information to Reese there in the back. We'll get you set up, okay?
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Love the show, too.
Got it. Thank you, Bucky. Appreciate that. Coulter, since you said Greg Maddux, have you seen the the video, the practical joke of Greg Maddux dressing up, putting the fat pack in the under the shirt, and giving BP to who'd he give it to? Somebody from the Cubs, Chris Bryant. Actually, it was Chris Bryant. You haven't seen it? It's glorious.
Because Chris Bryant just thought he was just some
Chris Bryant,
first base coach or something?
First of all, went out there to go hit BP, and the guy who was supposed to pitch it ends up, he's got to take a call or something like that. And so Maddux was there as part of the camera crew holding the mics, holding the boom mic for this thing they were filming. He's like, well, I'll throw it. And Chris Bryant's like, no, man, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. He's like, no, I could do it. And he goes up there and he just freezes Chris Bryant. And he goes, whoa, wait, what? Okay, no, throw another one. He's like, that's some movement. That's pretty good. And then Chris Bryant gets a hold of one, and without even looking back, Maddux just goes, warning track. And KV goes, no, I know it's not out. It's okay. Throws him another one, warning track. Finally, he yanks a couple out, and then, the gig's up. I'll let you watch it on your own time.
Greg Maddux should be the hero of every man, because Greg Maddux is the opposite of an athletic specimen. Yet, Greg Maddux throws like as hard as a good high school kid.
8.
And it doesn't matter. He just paints it all day. His ability to change speeds. And not to mention, this is the one thing that maybe people forget. Greg Maddux, not only did he win 4 Cy Young Awards, not only was he the greatest, if you disclude Roger Clemens because he's dirty, the greatest pitcher of his generation. I'm talking guys, Randy Johnson's kind of the next generation. But, not only that, he's the greatest hitting pitcher of the modern era. Right?
Yeah.
Greg Maddux is like, he's good enough to go 2.5 for 10 all the time. He's hitting 250 every year.
Just can do it, no doubt. What do they say? There's complete games, but a complete game in under 100 pitches, that's a Maddux?
That's right.
Hour 1 of the books, hour 2 straight ahead. Our ESPN roundtable with Robert Chase. Who's that? If you don't know, you better find out. We'll tell you who next.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula.
Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape to give you the challenge and fun you're looking for. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com to book your tee time online and save big all season. You've been cooped up, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club.
Now more than ever, we appreciate the value of relationships. Opportunity Bank has been serving Montanans and building strong relationships since 1922. With banking services for your family and your business, Opportunity Bank is with you as we move through these challenging times. For the latest information about how Opportunity Bank is working with customers and communities during the COVID-19 crisis, visit our website at opportunitybank.com. We are all in this together. Opportunity Bank of Montana, member FDIC.
There's a reason the Desperado has been voted best wings and sports bar in Missoula. Start with the wings. Despo wings are never frozen, which is why they're always big, juicy, and tender. And the burgers and steaks at the Despo? They purchase them each day from a butcher shop right here in town. And when it comes to drinks, the Despo has the coldest beer on tap and is always served in a frosty mug. All this plus the NFL ticket every Sunday, Grizz games, and the friendliest staff in town. The Desperado Sports Tavern, across from the Y on Russell.
When you're ready for a light and refreshing boost of energy, you are ready for Lotus. Florence Coffee is now serving this plant-based energy drink. Lotus is created with organic, non-GMO ingredients, including green coffee beans, botanicals, B vitamins, and amino acids, all mixed with natural fruit extracts and juices. Our baristas will be happy to introduce you to Lotus Energy Drink at any Florence Coffee locations, or go to florencecoffeeco.com.
Florence Coffee Company.
Shopping for a new car? Consider shopping Flanagan Motors Mazda and take advantage of our nearly new sale. Flanagan Motors Mazda has 10 nearly new certified pre-owned Mazdas in stock right now, some with as little as 4,000 miles. The selection has never been better than it is today. These exclusive vehicles have gone through a rigorous 160-point inspection and come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Just turn the key and enjoy your new certified pre-owned Mazda and leave your fears about buying a used car behind. You'll get a new car value at a used car price and 1.9% financing for qualified buyers. You can save thousands of dollars buying a nearly new certified pre-owned Mazda. Current Mazda owners get an additional $500 discount, and trades are welcome. See them online at FlanaganMotors.com or stop by and see them on the lot in Midtown Missoula. You can buy a used Mazda just about anywhere, but you can only buy a certified pre-owned Mazda from Flanagan Motors Mazda.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colton Nuanez. Here's some sports news for you. Another former football player with Montana ties is on the most recent College Football Hall of Fame ballot. Former Montana State All-American Bill Kohler is the latest up for the prestigious enshrinement. Former Grizz quarterback Dave Dickinson and former Cat quarterback Dennis Erickson have each been enshrined in the College Football Hall of Fame over the last 2 years, respectively.
Kohler, one of the great players in the history of the Big Sky Conference. He's one of 99 players on this year's College Football Hall of Fame ballot. Kohler was a first-team All-American in 1973, was the first Big Sky lineman in history to earn first-team All-League honors 3 times. After earning Big Sky Conference Defensive Player of the Year, he went to the Senior Bowl, was the first defensive player to ever earn MVP of that prestigious All-Star game.
That?
He went on to play 8 years in the NFL, unfortunately injury-riddled, but he's been one of the great defensive line coaches in all of the NFL, serving as the defensive line coach for the Atlanta Falcons in the 1990s, then coaching J.J. Watt with the Houston Texans, and now Von Miller with the Denver Broncos. And in breaking news this afternoon, Big Sky Conference has decided to have no mandated sports activities on Election Day. That was presented by the Student Athletic Advisory Committee and approved by the league's athletic directors this afternoon.
And finally, Kevin Thompson, former Sacramento State Hornet quarterback and reigning Big Sky Conference Offensive Player of the Year, has transferred to the University of Washington.
Now from the Kurtz Polaris studio, here is Ryan Tootell and Colter Nuanez.
Welcome back, hour number 2. Happy to be with you. If you missed anything in hour number 1, shame on you. No, just kidding with you, you know? We're happy to have you now. But if you'd like to listen to the first hour, check it out on the podcast, the Tootell Nuanez podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. On all of your favorite podcasting platforms, it is available thanks to our friends at Alpine Touch and Blackfoot. If you want to call, 361-3688 is the phone number. All guests join us via the Rangich Brothers RV phone line. It is time now for our ESPN Roundtable. We do this in the 5 o'clock hour every Wednesday. It is brought to us by Paradise Falls. And this week, we went very long, and so we've actually split this in half, and we're going to do half today and half tomorrow. But our guest this week in the ESPN Roundtable is Robert Chase. Robert Chase is the program director and DJ of the morning show on the Trail 103.3, our sister station. He is a longstanding friend. And the reason that he is on this week's ESPN Roundtable, I'm glad you asked why, is because of his depth of music knowledge. And because our friend Robert is a lifelong, ardent Cardinal fan who was living in Chicago, working on a rock radio station in Chicago, Illinois, for quite a while, but specifically in 1998. And with the release of Long Gone Summer, the documentary covering Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire and their chase to hit 61 home runs, or 62 as it were, then we thought, well, what better guy to have on than Robert, who was there going to games, regularly going to games, paying attention to baseball, and living in Chicago when this all, just erupted in 1998. So we'll have the first part of the conversation here now, and the second part tomorrow. This is a really fun, entertaining conversation, so please enjoy. Well, welcome in to the ESPN Roundtable, and boys and girls, this is a special edition of the ESPN Roundtable for Coulter and myself. We get to invite in.
It sure is.
Yes, one of our very dear friends who is just going to start right off by banging papers around into the microphone.
He's the veteran.
It's a rectangle. It's not really a round table.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here, though. You're a philosopher. I'm just a newspaper guy.
Yeah.
He's the actual radio guy. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
We are happy to be joined by our friend Robert Chase, who
howdy
is the program director on our sister station and flagship station, if I do say so, the Trail 103.3. He also is the diehardiest of St. Louis Cardinal fans and St. Louis sports in general. Also, though interestingly, lived in Chicago for many years doing radio. Where did you do radio in Chicago? What station?
Q101.
Q101 rock, Chicago rock.
Alternative rock station.
Okay. What years were you there, Robert?
Moved to Chicago from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah.
Halloween of 92. Started at Q101 in January of 93.
Okay. Now, there's several things at play here. First of all, why are you on the ESPN Roundtable with us? Why has your career culminated to this moment? And the answer...
I've earned enough points.
You're right. That's right. Enough stars on your badge. But the 30 for 30 that just aired Sunday night on ESPN, Long Gone Summer.
Yeah.
Featuring Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Cubs fan. You're a Cardinals fan. You and I have had an annual bet, which has basically gone your way on...
Unfulfilled.
Now, once fulfilled, right? Do I owe you two? Have I never set up and paid you your debts?
Didn't you win the first one?
That's right. I won the first one.
So
you
I paid
me.
up.
Yeah, you did. You bought me lunch.
You are in the hole twice.
Two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have an annual bet on Cubs versus Cardinals head-to-head for the season.
Yeah.
And I think the Cardinals were like 9-8 against the Cubs last year or whatever. So I owe you some beers. I owe you some pool.
Sure do.
And we will get to it. But also, you are the biggest Cardinals fan that I know, but you are also, not merely a fan, but somebody who has a great history of the game and the club in general. But also, you were living in Chicago in 1998 when this whole deal was going off. And you've been actually to more Cubs games in Wrigley than you've been to Cards games in Busch Stadium, haven't you?
That is a fact. And although not a Cubs fan, certainly an appreciator of great ballparks. And Wrigley Field is right there.
You don't hold
the
grudge that many Cards fans hold against the Cubs because of the amount of time you spent in Chicago and on the north side and in Wrigley Field.
I didn't hold back that I was a Cardinals fan while in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I wasn't alone in my allegiance in that town. So that was helpful. And it was playful.
I'll bet.
To kind of,
It's nice to have fans in opposing jerseys, given that both parties are of the right sort of mindset and mentality, right? Like you can enjoy it, and they can throw you a little smack talk, and you can kind of throw it back, and you can chuckle, and it can be fun.
Absolutely. And leading up to about 2015, the advantage was all mine.
Squarely in St. Louis's court.
Yeah.
Yes, no doubt. But so there's a couple different things I want to talk with you about, but going back to the long gone summer that we watched and what you remember, you saw Cubs Cardinals in Wrigley Field that summer, right?
I did not, actually. I did not. I saw Sammy.
You saw Sammy Sosa.
I saw Sammy many times. I saw him hit home runs that year, but I did not see a Cardinals-Cubs matchup that particular year for various reasons. Tickets were hard to come by. Early when I was in Chicago, I actually had a guy. So the first time I ever went to Wrigley Field, I rode my bike. Okay? It's 1993, summer of 1993. I lived in a section of town called Ravenswood. And the station where I worked had season tickets, 4 of them, about a section and a half up, directly from third base. So nice seats, 4 of them. I made a request. I got a ticket for a day game. And so I was going to ride my bike. And I did. And I left early because I didn't know what that commute was going to be like. Got there way early. And I don't remember much detail about the game, but I can almost feel it now, the excitement of riding your bike up to Wrigley Field for the first time and locking my bike up to a lamppost and going inside and getting there so early that there was maybe a few hundred people. And just to step inside that ballpark, you've been.
I have been to, but not in Wrigley Field.
Oh my gosh. Coulter?
Never been to Chicago.
Yeah. Well, it's the hollow grounds of that particular city and of baseball as one of the old-time ballparks that's still chugging along. So spectacular.
The thing that struck me about Wrigley Field and I've been to the park a couple of times, but most ballparks are giant diamonds on the ring of the city, and I mean that. I don't mean diamond baseball diamond. They are these beautiful, big, and showy pieces,
a destination spot
that you can see from a long ways away.
Yeah,
it took me a while to find Wrigley. I was looking for it, could not see it, couldn't find it. You're driving around, it's not obvious at all where it is until you come around the corner, and by God, there it is. And even then, it looks like it is 1910 again. I mean, it's not huge at all. You can't even imagine how there's an actual professional baseball stadium, field, all of that inside of this place.
It's in a neighborhood.
That's right.
Clark and Addison, Waveland and Clark, that is, those are the coordinates to get you there. And you're right. It has the neighborhood feel. You have the Cubby Bear Bar, which is across the corner. Bernie's is there, where they have awesome brats.
Gotta have it.
You got the Ginger Man, you got Metro. It's just a vibrant part of the North Side.
So I've been to several of the stadiums on the West Coast. That's it, though. I've been to Safeco Field.
Yeah.
I've been to where the Giants play, where the Oakland A's play, where the Arizona Diamondbacks play. All great stadiums, but it seems like there's such a distinct nostalgia attached to the stadiums in the Midwest, and it seems like the fervor for baseball is much greater than it is in the West. Why?
Probably just history.
Just history, right?
There was no baseball.
I mean,
East.
the Mariners have only existed for 40 years.
There was
right?
no baseball West,
right?
For into the 50s.
I think the Dodgers moved to LA in 60, 61, yeah.
Until Brooklyn packed up and moved to and became the Los Angeles Dodgers. So I think that's there. As for Wrigley, the ivy on the outfield wall is just one of the most curious things you'll ever see in a stadium because it's the only place it exists.
Right.
And when you see a ball get stuck in it, you're like, well, what's the rule for that? Right. And when you see it happen, then you realize what the rule is. And it's like hands up and it's a double, and that's the call.
Take us back to 1998, though, living in the city of Chicago. The Cubs not expected coming into the season to be a great team.
Yeah.
Kerry Wood was the phenom, and he was the big story as we rewatched the documentary. But as this thing gets going, and really was a 3-horse race with Ken Griffey Jr. in there as well, and then Sosa and McGuire kind of separated themselves. But what was it like in the city and in baseball in general, for you, a major baseball fan, and you are now in the epicenter of all this in the Chicago-St. Louis rivalry, and these two guys doing what they're doing for baseball?
Well, it was must-see TV, for one. Once you got to early June, you could just see it was developing, and these guys were moving out front, and Griffey was still part of the picture then. Leading into that season, though, you had the Bulls run.
Right.
So the Bulls, and I lived there for 4 of the 6 90s Bulls championships, so the town was still buzzing from the 6th of that run. And the Cubs, you're right. There was nothing really predicted for their season. Kerry Wood was talked about, and it was a few starts for him before you were a believer as to his talents. But he delivered on that early, and then you had these two guys that it was scoreboard watching. It was a back and forth. And then Griffey fell off the pace a little bit, and it was like you could not, as a Cardinals fan or as a Cubs fan, dreamed of a better scenario to kick baseball back in such a huge way that tickets were on demand.
Right.
Anywhere they were going, all of a sudden baseball got what it needed. That lift, which, following the strike a few years earlier, took a big hit. And that they touch on that certainly in this, in the long gone summer. But it was vibrant. It was fun. Everybody wanted to be a part of it. Even if you weren't a baseball fan, you knew it was happening.
When I started working here about 3 summers ago, I had completely drifted away from baseball, but I realized right away Robert's office used to be right next to our office, and this was before Robert was doing the mornings, so we'd have a little debriefing every day right around lunchtime. Did you watch the Cardinals? What's going on with the Indians? What's going on with the Cubs? And we started talking about it, so I started following a little bit more. But I've been thinking about this so often. We've talked about this on the show a lot. Ryan and I have, about why have I gravitated away from baseball so much? I think so many people have gravitated away because of attention span. They just can't handle it. And what have you done for me lately? Instant gratification, just the Twitter, everything. A lot of people are just like, well, baseball's boring. And I kept thinking to myself, I don't think baseball's boring. I think baseball's awesome. Why don't I like baseball anymore? And I kept just going back to this time and watching Long Gone Summer. The fervor, like you're talking about, is just, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
These guys were, Mark McGuire's Paul Bunyan, right? And Sammy Sosa's, he himself is some sort of Greek god. And these guys, they were larger than life. They were rock stars. That initial scene in Long Gone Summer when Mark McGuire hits the grand slam in the 5th inning and Busch Stadium just erupts. I can't think of a baseball game that I've watched that wasn't a playoff game where there was a crowd like that.
Yeah.
And that was the first game. But that was every game all the time. You watch these guys all the time, and it was like totally different in the magnitude of their stardom. And I just wonder what happened, because you can say partially it's been the steroids. and that turns some people off.
Yeah.
Partially it is the instant gratification. But for whatever reason, there's just not the star power there once was. Mike Trout is unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's not selling out every single stadium, every single place he goes, and having these gigantic crowds that are just in a frenzy to see him.
True.
I just don't know what happened. I mean,
I don't think any of us do. When McGuire joined the Cardinals in '97, I bought into the storyline that he was there just being couched by La Russa and Dave McKay and Dave Duncan, that coaching staff that was in Oakland during those years, and that he wasn't going to be around for the following season. And he didn't do much, and you thought he was going to go away. So when it kicked in 98, I just think that it was just something that developed on its own. But you had a guy who was reinvigorated in Mark McGuire.
Totally.
And then you had a guy who his time just happened to coincide with this in Sammy Sosa. And it just was a magical time that followed through the entire season. It wasn't something that, are these guys going to be able to maintain it? It just, there was barely a drop-off ever.
Right.
Robert Chase joining us on the ESPN Roundtable, program director from our favorite music station in this town, the Trail 103.3, and also ardent Cardinal fan / baseball fan. One thing, though, too, Coulter, that strikes me is it's not that the popularity of baseball has fallen off. It's that 1998 was a spike that was an aberrant, relationship because of this. There's a lot,
but there's nowhere near the fervor for guys like there used to be.
I mean, I don't know.
Baseball players are no longer heroes. And I think that's the thing that's dissipated so much. And I think it's so much because of skepticism.
I think go ahead.
I was going to say, in certain towns, in St. Louis, it is true that St. Louis, when you go to a ball game in St. Louis, there's a camaraderie in the stands.
Certainly.
Because there's an understanding of the history that's transpired in the four stadiums that have been there now.
And Pujols had that, Albert Pujols had that heroism for a moment.
And he very much did for a decade.
Yeah, right.
As he followed McGuire to become the next first baseman.
Right.
And he delivered. And he was such a personality. He was so involved off the field in philanthropic dealings that he was just incredibly popular, and also just did incredibly exciting things on the field. Became a good first baseman, fielding first baseman on top of the production that he developed at the plate. But the style of baseball that occurred and has been delivered in some stadiums, in particular Cardinals baseball, where small ball was a thing. Move the guy over, get a single, move him over, get him in. That was the saying when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s. And that came back big time in the 80s. Went away for a little while in the 90s. Tony La Russa brought it back a little bit. We had a lot of speedsters. Ray Langford was my favorite Cardinal. In the 90s, in that he was a 30-30 guy. He could hit 30 home runs, and he could also steal 30 bases.
They had a lot of guys could run. Brian Jordan.
Speed was always a part of the team to some degree, and that was exciting to watch because he didn't know what was going to happen, and that's what flustered the defense, the other team, was to have that angle that you didn't see in all the teams. So I think in some instances, some ballparks, our guy from here,
Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah. He is achieving some of that status in St. Louis now. And again, he's a gentle guy off the field, soft-spoken. But hopefully, not this year, maybe next year, he can kick it up a notch. But he's much beloved. And the fans in a town like St. Louis, they give a guy a shot. And that was part of this film, this ESPN show, Long Gone Summer, that they brought out, that Mark McGuire in 97 was in a slump.
Right.
But he got standing ovations in the park, and he did not understand why it was happening. And it was just folks trying to lift him up, being supportive. Give him a shot. We're not going to kick you to the curb. Prove it to us, and we're behind you.
I also think, too, though, I agree with you, Coulter, on the heroism that doesn't exist that once did nationally. But if I may say, the regionalization of baseball, there's still heroes.
Oh, no question.
But and these epic figures, but they are
sort of, but not as larger than life as guys used to.
No, they still are larger than life, but they're larger in life to a kid in Seattle who's a Mariner, to a kid in Chicago who's a Cub or a White Sox, et cetera, et cetera. There are not these epic figures like you had once upon a time. And if I may say, you are now a man. It's different now for you as an adult to sit here and have this same amazement you can have amazement at the skill of these guys, but it doesn't occupy the epic level of amazement that it once did.
You're not dreaming of being a big time.
Oh, I still am. I still am. I was trying to lobby yesterday to get to Nick Davis's little Sandlot game. I was going to shave my face, pretend I was 16, so I can go take some BP.
A walk on.
I think part of it though too is the baseball. They say that at the very beginning of Long Gone Summer. They say in baseball, records are everything. They're everything. No one off the top of their head could tell you what's the all-time record in an NBA single season for three-pointers made. No one can tell you who has the highest free throw percentage ever in an NBA game. You might be able to tell me who threw and caught the most touchdowns. It's very unlikely you're going to be able to tell me who had the second most receptions all time. You know all the records in baseball, or at least most people do know all the records in baseball. 130 stolen bases in a season, Ricky Henderson. 61 home runs in a season, Roger Maris. Last guy to hit 400, Ted Williams. You know on down the line who has the records. And I think it's twofold. On one hand, because of the way that baseball's been scouted, because of the influence of analytics on the game, because there's so many really diverse athletes, and because of what teams want in everyday players at literally every position, the guy who's the special, Mark McGwire I don't think ever hit more than 260 in his entire career. But no one cared. No one wanted Mark McGwire to ever hit, a two-strike pitch the other way for a single. Swing as hard as you can, hit a home run, that's all we want you to do. No. But there's not, and Ricky Henderson, all Ricky Henderson was trying to do was walk because that's a double. That's what he was trying to do. Walk because that's a double, period. Now, guys, there's 30 for 30 guys and stuff like that, but there's no threat. To me, there's no guy in baseball where I'm looking at him saying, oh, that guy's chasing 70 this year. That was a real narrative in the 90s. And then baseball could use that as a promotional tool. I remember coming into that season, and they also say that in this documentary where there was this dormant era, right? Roger Maris hit 61 home runs, and then no one, I think George Sisler did it in 1978, hit 52 home runs. That was the only 50 home run season between Maris and then Cecil Fielder hitting 50 in 1990. I think at that point, only 8 guys had ever hit 50 home runs in a season. Well, then Ken Griffey Jr. hits 50 when he's in his early 20s. Then McGwire hits 52, and then he hits 58. So now coming into this year, we say, okay, we have multiple guys that have hit 50-plus home runs, and so they started hyping it. And it was almost like a championship bout, right? It became must-see TV because you were compelled to watch. I think that brings so many people in when you could break this record that stood for almost 50 years. And right now, I just don't see that. Mike Trout might go 3 for 5, but I have no illusion that Mike Trout will break any single-season record.
That's exactly the point, though, and that's why 1998 was the aberration, because you had that possibility and that promotion, and then it happened.
But that's what gets people to watch baseball every day. I remember when Ichiro Suzuki was chasing the single-season hits mark. Yeah. I want to tune in every day because then it's
the records.
It's the record. But even Ichiro is even more compelling in certain elements because McGwire might hit a home run, but he also might not. Whereas Ichiro, he had 267 hits. He was going to get a hit. How many hits was he going to get?
Right.
Yeah. There might be an aspect of just in the availability of information that developed. A dilution that took place when I was growing up, even, leading up to the dawn of the internet in the mid-90s. If you lived outside the town of your baseball team, you didn't have much access to information. I moved to Colorado in 1983. If I had saved up to this day all the newspaper clippings that my mom sent me,
right,
I'd have a suitcase full.
She sent you the box score and like the story in the mail daily.
Because I had a glimmer of understanding as to what was taking place, but until I had those clippings, I was at a loss.
Yeah.
So maybe just the fact that you can get every detail about every team in an instant now. It's less focused on a player or a team, perhaps, if you're not localized and attached to a specific team.
There you go. Robert Chase, the subject of our ESPN roundtable, if that feels sort of like a truncated ending, well, it's because it is. Part 2 will be coming to you tomorrow, and we will do that probably at the top of the hour. So we have a lot going on tomorrow, as it turns out. So we have Whitney Morrison coming in, who is our senior spotlight student tomorrow. So we're excited about that.
Outstanding from Missoula Big Sky.
Have a couple of other interviews going on, but we'll figure out how to work that in because it was long and it gets into some really fun territory tomorrow, talking about Jeff Tweedy and Wilco and some of the connections from his music. He was, again, credited with the music of the 30 for 30 Long Gone Summer, which Robert has connection to. But our thanks to Robert Chase for joining us on the ESPN Roundtable. What a great storyteller. Tons of fun to have him. He should be in a long-form setting like what we have here, Coulter.
No doubt.
It's compacted on the trail over there. We got to get him some space to walk around a little bit in. But thanks to him for doing that with us. The ESPN Roundtable, it is presented by our friends at Paradise Falls, Coulter, 3621 Brooks Street, near the corner of Brooks and Reserve. Now, a ton of options on the south end of town. If you're headed out of town going to the Bitterroot, great place to stop. If you're headed into town coming from the Bitterroot, great place to stop. And how about breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Get all three, morning, noon, and night at Paradise Falls.
A family restaurant with both breakfast and 2 happy hours and a casino. Probably not going to find that anywhere else. Must be Paradise. No matter what you're in the mood for, Paradise Falls has what you want. Open 7 a.m. to midnight. Paradise Falls offers breakfast, lunch, dinner, while also serving half-price appetizers during their late happy hour from 9 to 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday. The casino's open, the machines are hot, and Paradise Falls still has a standard happy hour from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday as well. Like Gus said, located 3621 Brook Street in Missoula, Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hotspot.
Give us a call. We'll do a Wing It Wednesday, 361-3688. NFL coaches. That is the subject for this Wing It Wednesday. You want to get some wings to the Desperado Sports Tavern, the best wings in the city. Give us a call right now, 406-361-3688, 361-3688.
There's an old saying, a problem shared is a problem halved. The folks at Farmer State Bank know you have a lot on your plate right now and what kind of anxiety that can produce. Farmer State Bank has been helping Montanans since 1907. They are ready and willing to work with you during this challenging time. Call Farmer State Bank. They're here for you today and all your tomorrows. Farmer State Bank, your Montana bank since 1907. Member FDIC.
Garden City Paint and Glass is ready to help you with your summer home improvement projects. Their trained staff can help you with your painting and staining projects, setting you up with the right colors and the right brushes, rollers, and painting preparation, and they can even color match and custom tint. Garden City Paint and Glass sells only the highest quality paints and stains, so your project comes out right. Visit Garden City Paint and Glass for more information or give them a call at 549-0608. Garden City Paint and Glass, locally owned and serving Missoula for over 30 years.
Yes, Polaris is open. The great outdoors are wide open, so why not make the most of it during the Polaris Summer Sales event? Take the family on a cross-country adventure with Polaris General, the world's most comfortable, most powerful sports utility machines. Kick up some dust in a RZR, the off-road's most thrilling performance side-by-sides. Grab the bars of a legendary Sportsman ATV and discover the freedom of unstoppable performance. Or get more done between your fence lines with Ranger, America's favorite off-road workhorse. There's never been a better time to say yes to outdoor adventure. Enjoy rebates up to $1,000 on the off-road's best during the Polaris Summer Sales event at Kurtz Polaris. Kurtz Polaris is at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula and Highway 83 in Sealy. Kurtz has all the best in off-roading with dirt bikes and side-by-sides, and now Kurtz has Crest pontoon boats in stock for the season. Summer is here at Kurtz Polaris, online at kurtzpolaris.com. Offers valid in U.S. through 6/30/20 on new 2016 through 2020 vehicles. Offers vary by model. See dealer for details. Always wear a helmet, never drink and ride. Summer is here, so get out of the house and play some golf at the picturesque Canyon River Golf Club. Canyon River boasts a pristine 18-hole championship golf course sitting along the Clark Fork River in the beautiful mountain valley of East Missoula. The course is meticulously manicured and in perfect shape to give you the challenge and fun you're looking for. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com to book your tee time online and save big all season. You've been cooped up, so get out and play at Canyon River Golf Club. The City of Missoula has launched Engage Missoula, a new online public engagement service. This will allow Missoula residents to learn about the city projects from their beginnings and participate in shaping them with their comments, all without having to go to public meetings. Learn and comment on projects like the Clark Fork Islands Recreation Plan or the North Riverside's Parks and Trails Project. Engage Missoula offers overviews of projects, photos, maps, project timelines, and ways to comment. Learn more at engagemissoula.com.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colton Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Sports Center. Another former football player with Montana ties is on the most recent College Football Hall of Fame ballot. Former Montana State All-American Bill Kohler is the latest up for the prestigious enshrinement. Former Montana quarterback Dave Dickinson and MSU quarterback Dennis Erickson were enshrined each of the last 2 years, respectively.
As part of a publicity stunt when he played for the Cincinnati Bengals, Bill Kohler wrestled a live grizzly bear on network television. It shows you what kind of defensive lineman he was. Good enough to be the first team all-league defensive lineman in Big Sky Conference history 3 times, as well as the Big Sky Conference defensive MVP in 1972 and the first ever defensive player to win the MVP at the Senior Bowl. Kohler played 8 injury-riddled seasons in the NFL, but he has made his mark as a defensive line coach ever since, coaching NFL MVPs like J.J. Watt, Von Miller between stops with the Houston Texans, and most recently last 6 seasons with the Denver Broncos.
Steve Keller of Providence and Sean Hughes of Montana State Northern have been chosen among the top 50 most impactful men's basketball coaches in NCAA Division II and the NAIA, according to the Silver Waves Media Group. At Providence, Keller has amassed a record of 42-20. Before Providence, though, he was the head coach of Montana Western for 11 seasons. He went to the NAIA National Tournament 8 times. Hughes is a Big Sky alum from Missoula, has a .647 winning percentage. Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you on this Wednesday afternoon. If you would like to listen live and you aren't by your radio or your television, or you just get home, you got a nice short commute. That's one of the great things about living in Montana, isn't it? Check it out on the stream, 1029ESPN.com. You can listen live all the time, 24 hours a day to the station, and you can listen to the show in the afternoons on the weekdays as you would like to. The stream is available all the time thanks to Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. It is time now for our... What are you laughing at?
Well, I just got to follow. I'll tell you the Bill Kohler story after we go.
Okay.
He really wrestled a bear for $50 in downtown Cincinnati when he was a rookie for the Cincinnati Bengals.
I mean, that's like $88 in our money. Let's go to the phones, and we welcome in Tom to the show. Tom, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing great, Tom. We got some wings for you from the Desperado Sports Tavern. All you got to do is answer a couple of questions. This on NFL coaches, okay? That's the theme that we got here. Do you like the NFL, Tom?
Yeah, I love the NFL.
Okay, that's good. It's a good place to start then. So here's the deal. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. If you get 2 of them right, you got yourself a basket of wings to the Desperado. You get all 3, you're going to get a shirt. If you need any help, Coulter will be your lifeline. That sound all right?
Sounds good.
Boy, some chicken wings would really hit the spot. Tell me likey. Tell me want wingy.
All right, here we go. Now, I'm trying to judge level of difficulty on this stuff. I'm not sure which is the right way to go here, so let's just play a little bit. Here it is. Question number 1 for you.
All right.
Cliff Kingsbury is the head coach of what NFL football team?
Oh, that'd be Arizona Cardinals.
The Arizona Cardinals. Very good. Okay, so I thought if I picked, I'm not going to give you the Bill Belichick's and the Pete Carrolls of the world. You know what I mean? That's too easy.
Yeah.
So I thought I would go the other way, but then I thought, well, maybe I should give the names. But the names of the coaches are the harder part. The teams they have are the easier part. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to switch it up. Who is the head coach, Tom, of the Indianapolis Colts?
Oh, that's Frank Reich.
Tom, you're not even taking enough time to look it up on your phone. We appreciate that. You know what I mean? We like it when people come in here. Bucky just cheating his behind off earlier in the show. You are doing a great job. That's 2 for 2. You got yourself a basket of wings to the Desperado. Okay, 3rd and final question for you, Tom. Here we go.
All right.
Who is the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers?
Oh, Lynn's his last name. I'm not sure what his first name is. Lynn.
His first name can be Coach. Can you do that?
Okay.
Coach Lynn. It is Coach Lynn. It is Coach. What is it, Coulter?
Anthony Lynn.
Anthony Lynn is the man's name.
Lynn.
And you, Tom, have gone 3 for 3. You did it very quickly. I'm impressed with you. That is the most efficient wings and shirt get probably in the history of this show. So very, very well done. Give your information to Reese there in the back, and we'll get you set up with all of that. All right, my man?
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
You got it. Great job. Tom was all over it.
Bam.
All over it. It's funny, man. Like, I think, my guess is there's so many more people that could tell you, like, if they heard the coach name, they could apply the team to it. But if you hear the team name, getting the coach is not a two-way street.
Right.
There's asymmetry at work there.
Right. And that's pretty
I don't think that Anthony Lynn is the least known coach, because he's been the head coach now of the Chargers like 4 or 5 years since they moved to Los Angeles.
Well, and he's also so recognizable because he's huge.
Well, he is so
intimidating, and the way his press conferences after games.
Okay, the Dolphins head coach, what is it, Brian
Flores.
He's probably, he's a first-time head coach going into his second year, kind of buried there in Miami. Who's the Jacksonville head coach right now?
Doug Marrone.
Oh, that's right. Doug Marrone is. Okay, so, maybe
I'd say the 2 most random coaches in the league are probably Joe Judge, 4.
New York,
New
right?
York Giants,
yeah.
And Kevin Stefanski
for the Browns,
Cleveland Browns. Cannot believe that he is a head coach.
Well, believe it. Whole new head coach, whole new GM.
It's just so crazy.
New again.
I know, it's just so crazy, like how not good at your previous jobs you can be and be a head coach.
But here's the thing. Here's what's bizarre. Brian Schottenheimer.
Sure.
He's an offensive coordinator for the Seahawks.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's been an offensive coordinator at 2 or 3 places before, and they've always been bad at offense.
Right. A lot of it's personnel and fit and everything, too.
Exactly. And that's the thing where, Kevin Stefanski, do I hold out a ton of hope? No. Why? Because it's Cleveland, but not because it's Kevin Stefanski. Joe Judge,
he just was never. He was like Stefanski was just never really that innovative in Minnesota. Like, you throw the ball to Adam Thielen and hand it to Dalvin Cook. I don't know. They had great players.
Better. What would your insight be? I would hand the ball to Dalvin Cook.
Well, no. I'm just saying, like, they just should be a lot better in Minnesota than they have been.
What did you want to tell me about Kohler? Was that it? Just he wrestled a bear?
I mean, this is a great story. So Bill Kohler is one of.
Do you want to save it for the next segment?
Let's hit it.
We'll take a quick break.
Bill Kohler wrestled a bear.
Bill Kohler wrestled a bear for $50 in Cincinnati. I would have held out for more. Boys and girls, here's a job nobody wants to do: scoop the poop. Am I right about that? That is the one that you're all like, 1, 2, 3, not it. Well, you can all be nodded. It's okay because Montana Pooper Scoopers will come in and take care of the job for you. Doesn't matter if you are just a family or a business. They can do both. Doesn't matter if you got 100 dogs or one. They can do it all. Doesn't matter if you need it regularly done or just once because you were on vacation or whatever happened. Now maybe your neighbor's dog came to pay you a visit. I don't know what the reason. All I know is you go to MontanaPooperscoopers.com. Okay? They service Missoula and Lolo, and they will take care of the job that no one else wants to do. Schedule right now, MontanaPooperscoopers.com. Again, one-time or weekly dog pick waste removal. They'll do it for you. If you mention this ad, you're going to get $25 off your initial service. Great deal. Online. Don't do this yourself. You don't want to. You don't need to. MontanaPooperscoopers.com.
Hey there, Colter Nuanez from Tootell Nuanez. I'm here with Tom from Aspen Sound. And Tom, it's almost boat season. Tell people, how do they get their boat all ready to roll with you guys for the summer?
Colter, I appreciate it, my man. We're in full swing now. Boats are starting to rock out, and we're seeing a lot of ATVs come through. Window tinting is going full force, so make sure you get in while we still have some slots open.
Aspen Sound, located at 1300 West Broadway in Missoula.
Feel the music at Aspen Sound.
Wayne McElmurray knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete from a small town in Montana. The Troy native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies on UM's 95 National Championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. McElmurray has also used those values in his work at McElmurray Homes. Since 2003, McElmurray Homes has helped contract and subcontract some of the Garden City's finest houses. McElmurray Homes is committed to offering quality custom service, quality products, and the best prices throughout any project. And McElmurray Homes is also a proud supporter of high school athletes around the state of Montana.
This Father's Day, treat Dad like a king with the Montana Club's Hungry Man specials. Kick things off with Kobe and pork sliders, then feast on our cowboy ribeye or bacon blue prime sirloin. If Dad's an early riser, bring him in for our 1-pound chicken fried steak and eggs. Plus, we'll treat Dad like royalty with a free beer on Father's Day. Full menu at MontanaClub.com. Dinner specials served Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Mountain Lion exists to serve this community by providing accessible, dependable transportation at a zero fare.
Part of our service extends beyond our day-to-day operations to a long-term plan that factors in public health, clean air, and our carbon footprint.
So today, we're announcing a resolution, a commitment to eliminate all tailpipe emissions for Mountain Lion's fleet by 2035.
Our commitment to a zero tailpipe emissions fleet opens up opportunities for innovation and collaboration.
It allows us to continue to invest in electric buses and other emissions-lowering technologies as they become available.
We at the Missoula Urban Transportation District are committed to moving Missoula forward sustainably.
And that's something everyone in our community can be proud of. Sustainable public transportation that benefits us all.
The Montana Army National Guard salutes the high school graduating class of 2020. We recognize all your hard work and the resilience you've demonstrated during this historic time for our country. Those are the traits of a great citizen soldier. You can continue to stand out and be a leader in your community as a soldier in the Montana Army National Guard. Learn more about the benefits of part-time service in the Army National Guard at nationalguard.com. Sponsored by the Montana Army National Guard. Aired by the Montana Broadcasters Association and this station.
Tootell and Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
You know, after I read what I just read,
party, that's how we do it here.
Silence would be the way to go.
I know what you Jack listeners want.
Tommy Once Upon a Time, Coulter made
Get out.
like hip-hop soundtracks with just sound from this show. And that's what you're hearing. I don't know why I sound like I'm being drug over a cattle guard, but that's what it is. It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Reese is very happy with himself. Hey, if you missed anything in the show, check it out on the podcast, the Tootell and Nuanez podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. It's available all the time. That's the beauty of a podcast. And it is there thanks to Blackfoot and Alpine Touch. Bill Kohler, he is on the College Football Hall of Fame.
He absolutely has to get in
list. He's on the list. We'll see if he gets inducted. But for crying out loud, the man wrestled a bear.
Well, here's my thing, and I'm always going to bat for the linemen. But I know that Bill Kohler is well remembered. I mean, his number is retired at Montana State. Number 77 is right up there next to Sonny Holland's number. I mean, there's only 4 numbers that are retired at Montana State. Bill Kohler's is one of them. So he's remembered. But I just don't know if he's remembered at the level he should be remembered at. I mean, when people say who are the greatest players in Big Sky Conference history, they automatically reel off Dave Dickinson, Cooper Kupp, maybe John Freese, Doug Nussmeier, a lot of the offensive guys. It's been an offensive league for a long time. Bill Kohler was a freaking first-round draft pick out of the Big Sky Conference. I mean, consider this as a defensive lineman. But one of the funny stories, I've talked to Coach Kohler a lot, and I call him Coach Kohler now because, even though he played 8 years in the NFL, he was mostly injury-riddled because he had a bad knee injury his first year in the league, and he never could really get over it. But he still lasted 8 years in the league, probably didn't fulfill his potential, but still was an awesome player. I mean, he started for 8 years in the NFL. It's hard to bemoan a guy for that, but he's made his career as a defensive line coach. He's one of the great defensive line coaches in the world. He's coached J.J. Watt to 3 NFL Defensive Players of the Year. Coach Von Miller to does Von Miller have 1 or 2? Regardless, he's got a Super Bowl MVP too. I mean, Kohler he's a guru. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's awesome. But one of the funniest stories he's ever told me, I'm just going to read this from a story I wrote for the Mountains and Minds magazine, which is the Montana State publication. I'll just read the quote. He said, Kohler, when he was first playing for the Cincinnati Bengals, said he was one of the PR people signed him up for a promotional event in which he had the opportunity to earn $50 to take a picture with a 7-foot touring bear. Kohler said, okay, that sounds pretty good. I go downtown Cincinnati. There's probably about 100 people there. I walk in and say, what's going on, fellas? They say, well, we hear somebody's going to wrestle a bear. He says, what? They said, somebody's going to wrestle that bear. And I said, I wonder who the hell is going to end up doing that. Turns out it's Bill Kohler, and he wrestles the bear in downtown Cincinnati. As urban legend goes, there's no video proof of this, but as the story goes, Bill Kohler not only wrestled the bear, but pinned the bear. If you see the guy now, I mean, the guy is now in his 70s, and he still, his listed weight was 6'5", 278 pounds. He still looks exactly that. He was a freak. He was one of the first guys that implemented weightlifting into his repertoire, and the stories from guys that played in the Big Sky Conference, namely Mike Kramer, who had to go against Bill Kohler multiple times, are legendary. And I just hope that people remember Bill Kohler. He definitely deserves to be in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Put him in!
That was your Burn Street Bistro Burn of the Week.
It's kind of a burn. It's like a burn towards something instead of a burn away from something. Thanks to Burn Street for that. We got to get this man. I mean, 3 years in a row, get a Big Sky Conference,
first team all league,
player into a
for the College Football. Yeah, I mean, it would be Dave Dickinson, Dennis Erickson, and Bill Kohler 3 in a row. Dave Dickinson was, I think, the first guy with Montana ties.
99 guys at the position, though.
No,
99 total on the list.
Well, I think the position means the small school guys on the ballot.
Okay, I got you. Boys and girls, it was a fun Wednesday. We'll be back with you tomorrow. We'll have fun again on Thursday. See you then, ESPN Radio.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Alignment and Brakes and Shocks and Wheels and Tires.